Hey guys, what's up? It's Nick, Martini's Cantina here, and we are back with Tales of the Galaxy 3 along with Michelle Gruska. How are you doing today, Michelle?
I'm great.
Could you just give the viewers just a little bit of your background, kind of how you got into Star Wars in general, voicing, kind of that kind of deal?
Lucked out. Well, when I was 16 years old, my brother is was a great musician slash singer, became an amazing composer. And so when I was 16, he brought me in the studio. It was pretty early. So I just felt really, really confident in the studio. I also did live, but my mom noticed I would always do weird voices or weird sounds and always did different I think when I watched cartoons I always mimicked them.
Hmm.
So when I got older I tried out for different movies and shows and uh ended up getting quite a few. And then when I turned 23, I met John Williams and they said they were, shopping for a singer for a character in the Jabba the Hutt scene. And I went and I auditioned at 20th Century Fox. And John wrote the music. Joe Williams wrote the lyrics. Or they actually might have both wrote the lyrics. And I went in there and made a pass, maybe two passes at the
Hmm.
song, and I ended up getting it. So it was weird because there were quite a few. Um, and I flew up to San Francisco with Lionel Newman. He was the music supervisor of 20th Century Fox at the time, and John Williams and Joe Williams. And the next day, we drove to Lucastown, and it was overwhelming. It
Hmm.
was really overwhelming. It was massive. When I walked into the studio, the screen felt like it was 2 blocks big. And yeah, and went there and overdubbed Snootles' character.
Hmm.
And there you go.
So
And
what? Oh, sorry. When you have like your audition, my first episode was with Anthony Forrest, Fixer and a Sand Trooper. He was telling me about how he kind of went into a room and it was just George Lucas. But since he was more of like the quote unquote live action and you were more of like the voicing, was it just John in the room or was it George too? Like, how did that go? Or did John have complete overview of that
no,
whole
it was just John. It was
just
John,
John?
Joe, and actually Lionel.
Line. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So George didn't have any affiliation at all with the music pick at all. Like he kind of
Okay.
gave
Who?
George Lucas. Did he have any?
Yeah, no, he was not there. I did not meet Mr. Lucas until I went to San Francisco to
Gotcha.
his, yeah. It was all the music, and I was in this huge studio,
Hmm.
and just me at the mic, and that was that. And when I got to the George Mr. Lucas's studio, uh that's when I overdubbed it
Hmm.
against the actual scene of Jabba the Hutt scene and Sai standing there in the mic. And and then about, I don't know, a few hours later, they got to the Ewoks and I was part of that as well. The last scene, original last scene, they took it out for a few years and then they put it back in. It was Ewok Yum Yum. Remember that one? And then they changed it to some different ending and
Hmm.
it wasn't appreciated as much. And
Yeah.
so put it back in. And it was myself and I think 6 other singers.
So
And
when you have that role of Size Noodles, were you so you were basically like trying to play the part of Psy, right? So did they kind of just throw you into the Ewoks there when everyone else was recording, or did they just like were like, hey, by the way, you might be used for other voices and stuff?
Correct.
You were okay.
Yeah, because I was just there to sing Cy Snootles,
Hmm.
the Lopty Neck song.
Hmm.
And a few hours later, I guess they dug it because I'm pretty animated as it is. So I must have been going, woo, like while I was singing or whatever. And so I heard Mr. Lucas say, hey, get her in on some of the Ewok sounds and vocalizations. And so it was fun.
When they give you when they I feel like if I saw that song on a sheet of music, I would have no clue what's going on. I feel like it's not really like words, it's more like just like sounds and like do you have did they give you like an expectation of what they're trying to do? Like, hey, this is what pitch you need to be in, or did you kind of just like free ball it and then you're like, this is what I got, this is how I represent the song with my own voice?
Well, I was, what was I, 23 when I did that? 23, 24, something like that.
Hmm.
So I already had probably a good 8 years of vocal training.
Hmm.
Um, I have a really good ear. So they just played the track and gave us stands with whatever made up lyrics, and we went for it. That's, all the singers, they were amazing, had a great time. Everyone really was very professional and knew what they were doing. And it was pretty smooth. It was nice. What we did a couple of passes, and then George would tell us what he was really looking for, and we did it after a few times. It
Yeah,
was
so
great.
the scene only
Really,
took a few hours, like it was a pretty decently quick scene to shoot. The voice for
oh yeah,
Ewoks and Psy.
it was pretty quick. It
I mean,
was,
that's always a plus for everyone. At
yeah,
least
it
it
was.
wasn't like 150 takes, you know what I mean? Or
No,
that's
it really
awesome.
wasn't. How many takes? Gosh, I don't even remember. I think I took maybe on the outside 3 takes.
Really.
Yeah, I think so.
For
I
such a
think,
famous song, that's awesome. I mean, I feel like that Cantina scene in general is just such a well-loved scene. All the characters are just so unique looking, and then just having like that kind of song in that era of film. It was just like such a fun scene. I don't know why. It's just everyone
it
loves
was
the
definitely
Cantina
fun.
scene.
Yeah, it was fun. The hardest part of that was not the music,
Hmm.
but the lyrics, because it was a made up language,
Yeah.
a real language. You know what I mean? So, Opquek Zenik Fezi. I mean, Joe just decided to, you know,
Yeah.
I don't
And,
know.
and
So,
that's why John and Joe are like where they are now. You know what I mean? Like they're like legends and
yeah,
just the entire music industry in terms of film for sure.
truly, truly, truly amazing geniuses,
Do you
truly amazing.
do you keep in contact with anyone just in general from Star Wars at all? Like, do you go to
I,
conventions at all or?
I used to.
Hmm.
I haven't in a long time, many, many years. I was invited to a few Comic Cons,
Yeah,
but um, I keep in touch with Joe.
that's
Yeah.
cool.
A few other people from the scene, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, listen, um, I find myself very blessed, honestly, to be associated with something that just became legendary.
Yeah, every single day there's a Star Wars playing or some type of announcement or some type of toy. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the cool thing. Like Anthony and I were talking about just how crazy the fandom is and like how I don't even like obedient the fandom is to like the actors and actresses. And there's so many little parts that we have in those scenes that I feel like, or sorry, in those films that would just be overlooked. In other films, like they're like, oh, okay, like there's just a little scene. But to us, it's like we refer to it as the cantina scene or the Jedi mind trick scene or the, Boba Gin Eden in the middle of the desert scene. You know what I mean? Like those
Yeah.
are all just scenes to us that are like it's not always about like the lightsaber scenes or
Yeah. You don't
the
forget them.
yeah, exactly.
And it's generations, you
Hmm.
know? It's
Yeah, I
just
know.
a,
My dad showed me Star Wars. I'm 22. So
no way. Oh,
yeah, I'm like a
so
baby. Yeah.
you're basically the age that I did the gig.
Yeah.
Well, I must have auditioned many months before.
Did you go
Uh,
for school for singing at all, or or
Did I
for
what?
did you go to college at all for singing, or planning on going
Well,
to, or
what's interesting is I was going to go to Juilliard.
oh,
Uh,
okay.
all of that didn't work because uh, I went to a year and a half of college and I tried out. Oh, it'll give you my age, but it's totally cool. I tried out for Frankie Valli
Okay.
because the Four Seasons, he was trying something new. He didn't want to be with the Four Seasons for a while. And auditioning is its own animal.
Hmm.
So my brother said, "Hey, just audition. There's just no chance you're going to get this gig, but go feel it out, see what the vibe is when you
Yeah.
audition." And at the time, I was just finishing up a demo. And so I brought the music um, on cassette tape.
I'm okay. I want to throw that out there. I'm a vinyl collector, and I do have a little bit of cassettes. I'm like old at heart. Old at
All
heart.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I'm there. I know. I got you.
I'm the real deal.
You got your
On
deck. I got
cassette.
you. Yeah, yeah, I got you.
On cassette and sang live.
Hmm.
And they after I sang the first song, they sang, "Can you sing us another song? Can you sing more of a ballad?" So I found one of my ballads and I sang that live. And all I heard from them is, "Thank you very much. Appreciate it." Went home. Didn't hear from them. I mean, I even said to my brother, I went, he goes, "Hey, really tough on me, You're not going to get it, man. Just, it's cool. Just move on, do something else." A week later, I got the call and they said, "Can you start in a month?" I went, "Wait, what?" So stopped college, uh, started that week, major choreography,
Hmm.
no cordless mics yet. So they were all these, cables that I had to learn how to dance over, pirouette over,
Hmm.
Did that for about a month and was with him for almost 5 years, 4.5 years.
So were you a singer, dancer, all the above with them?
Yeah, I
Gotcha.
was his background vocalist.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like I would say with that kind of sparked your career. And I mean, that's such a you were would you say you were 18 at that time or 19 at that time
No, I
almost?
think I was on my 20,
20.
maybe
I mean,
20
that's
and
such a
one.
honor to be on like the Four Seasons, just such a legendary
It
act. I
was,
mean,
oh, it
Frankie
was
Valli in general.
so much fun. I mean, honestly, I was a real innocent, so it was nerve-wracking
Oh
because
yeah.
we flew everywhere. I
Hmm.
mean, everywhere. And the other background vocalists that I sang with were so amazing. They were older than I was, and they were just so helpful and, really took me and took care of me, took
Yeah.
me in under their wings and, showed me what's up. And I realized a few years later, I was not particularly fond of being on the road. It wasn't really my style.
Mhm.
But I did it and loved it. Incredible experience. Came back and started singing for TV, film. I did a ton of commercials, radio.
Yeah.
um, yeah, it was, and then that's when I really got into voiceovers, cartoons.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Going back to just Sigh for a second. With
Yeah.
so with Return of the Jedi, obviously there's, we got a few films before that. Were you a Star Wars fan at all prior to that, or were you interested at all? I mean, some people, I've talked to some people, like actors and actresses, and they were like, "Oh yeah, I actually didn't watch any of the movies before I started."
This is what's mind blowing. I think it was what, 77 when uh Star Wars number four came out. Remember, it was four, five,
Yeah,
six.
yeah,
Six was Return of the Jedi.
yeah.
It was brilliant, how then one, two, three was made. I think wasn't that the year?
I
Maybe
believe so.
76, something,
I think it's late 70s.
something like that. I went by myself and I went, what is this? Because I've always been a sci-fi fan.
Hmm.
And I went, oh, I'm gonna go see this. I I I was like, I couldn't speak.
Hmm.
I was so enthralled. I was so excited. I loved it. It was so fantastic. I was a fan for sure.
Yeah.
I wasn't a lunatic
Yeah.
about it,
Yeah, yeah, I
but
got you.
I really, really enjoyed it. And then I went to see Empire Strikes Back. I think I saw that in Santa Monica. And I went, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. This is definitely going to be a part of, you know, I hope there's a trilogy, please, please, please. And then that happened. So it's
That
crazy. And then I ended up being on Return of the Jedi.
that's awesome. I always love that, like being a fan. I feel like being a fan of something and being able to work in that, industry or in that film in general is just such an awesome thing. I know I was talking to Ross Marquand, which he does a lot of voices and stuff. And he was telling me like X-Men 92 was like his childhood. And then like he got the audition for X-Men 97 and he was like, it's just such a cool, like kind of like deja vu thing. You're like, now you're a part of this. Like
It's
now you're a
weird,
part
isn't
of
it?
that fandom. Like you're
And
a fan
think
and yeah, it's an
you don't
awesome
think you're
feeling.
going to be a part of it.
Hmm.
I lucked out and it's a beautiful thing. It really is. It's a nice little legacy to be a part of, you know?
Oh, for sure. Did
Yeah.
you have, or do you still keep up with Star Wars at all? Or I always love asking that question
Oh
too.
yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
watch all the new series and all that stuff?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I know I got my
When I
girlfriend hooked on them
can.
quick. Yeah, I gotcha.
I mean, I actually was asked to do an audition for Phantom and I couldn't end up doing it.
Did they tell
So
you what for? Like
I
what
don't
role?
know.
No.
No, not yet. No. I was when if I would have gone in, I would have known about the whole thing, but I
Yeah.
couldn't make it.
See, that was
So
that was my childhood. Like one, two, and three.
of
Like was
course.
like that sweet spot for me. I mean, they're all so great. I mean, every single Star Wars is great. I mean, going back to Empire Strikes Back, like one of my favorite scenes is like the AT-AT scene and just the Hoth scene in general. Like this is such a cool scene. And
I
it's
mean,
crazy how they
all of
can
it
even come up
was.
with that.
It just, yeah. All of it was just so innovative and fun. And you were always like, you know?
Yeah, you never knew it
Oh,
was gonna happen, especially for that
no.
time. Like you didn't have explosions often. You didn't have, demolition experts that are just micro models and just I think one of the coolest parts for me too about Star Wars is like you look at Star Wars and you're like, okay, which one of these were like a scale model that they were just flying like a little puppet, and then which ones were actually real? Like
I
what
know.
scenes like it's just so cool that they can fuse that together. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously you can tell some of them, but in general, like it's pretty hard to sometimes.
There was no CGI then, and I think it was done incredibly well.
Oh,
I really do.
absolutely.
So much fun.
And I collect a lot of I collect like the producers and stuff like Phil Tippett, John Berg, like all those guys. And it's just so many it's so crazy how many of them there were just for like one scene. Like for like the Rancor scene, there's like 30 people just involved just for that scene. I mean,
Oh,
now you
yeah.
can just put it on a computer and they're like, "Oh, done." Like that actually that's like
Not
that
so
love and
great.
art.
It's
Yeah.
not so great.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you.
I mean, the collaboration of all these people coming together and making such magical moments is really what it's all about.
Mm,
And now so many are going to be, that's a whole different interview. I
I gotcha.
yeah, I'm not crazy about AI, but
I don't blame you. And I know a lot of people aren't. So
well,
have,
no, it's just sad because a lot of people who are so incredibly talented and creative
mm,
are not going to be needed,
yeah.
you
And
know?
it saves them money, but like in reality, like it hurts. Sometimes it's gonna start. I think it's gonna start hurting fandoms too. I mean,
Yeah,
people just get so mad about it. Like the real, like true nitty gritty fans are just so upset. I know, like the recent Star Wars movies, like a lot of people hate those movies just because of all of like the crazy animations and like the
yeah,
storyline,
yeah,
like
yeah.
just in general.
I mean, I went into the studio, I think about 4 months ago, and they asked me to check out the backup vocals. And I was listening, and suddenly I went, I don't even know how I heard it. I guess I'm just like really sensitive to that stuff. But I went, She's great. She's got um, a real nice vibe to her voice. This guy, he's like this perfection. I mean, eh, who is that?" And
Hmm.
that's when they said, "No, it's AI." And I went, "Oh,
Yeah, that's so sad that stuff like that is even a thing anymore.
yeah."
So going back to like vocals and stuff, you've been a
Mhm.
vocal coach for a while now, or is that more?
I've been a vocal coach now, oh, since 1998 or 9.
Gotcha. And has that been like your so going like having like your own roles and stuff? Did you feel like that was like your next step? Like you really want to be a vocal coach? Was that kind of just in the cards from the beginning, or just kind of
No.
fell into your lap at all? Or
Oh yeah. No, that old saying, those who can't do, teach kind of
hmm.
deal. I was always a doer.
Yeah.
And it so happens that there was this girl, I knew her parents, and they begged me. They said, "Can you please teach her how to sing?" I was like, "I'm not a coach. I, I, I don't know how to, I'm a singer. I've been coached a million times for decades, but I really don't do that for a living." And they said, "We don't care. Just help her a little bit." And I did. And it just snowballed from there. She became pretty famous. And there you go. And they kept on calling and, "Would you teach my son? Would you teach my daughter? Would you teach me?
Mm.
And it just kept on going. So no, it was definitely an accident. It was not, I had no intention of becoming a coach.
Do you have a lot of students that are fans of you, or do you not try to bring it up to them? Like, hey, by the
I,
way, I was in Star Wars. Like,
I never bring things up.
yeah,
I never bring things up, but they bring it up to me
I'm
because
sure.
they look up my name and it might, say something, and they
Yeah,
go, "Can you do that part for me?" It's sweet. And
yeah.
I do it for them, but no, I never bring that stuff up.
I don't.
No,
I got you.
no.
Well, guys, all of her links in below. She does have coaching. There'll be a LinkedIn and all of her coaching links. So definitely check her out if you're interested whatsoever in that. We'll link her Facebook and Instagram too. That's a great way to contact her. I know she's very, just in terms of fans, she's awesome with fans. I mean, that's how we met. I think it was Instagram. So
It was.
I appreciate you very much for allowing me to take up some of your time and be on the show.
Oh, it was so my pleasure. And thank you for getting in touch with me
Absolutely.
anytime. Okay.
I appreciate that.
All
Well,
right.
guys, I'm Nick. This is Michelle. We got a ton of stuff coming up, guys. We got some videos dropping this weekend. I guess you're seeing this later, so they would have already dropped tomorrow. We got another podcast I'll be filming tonight, which I know a lot of comic book fans that I have. I'm all over the place, comics, collectibles, Star Wars, everywhere. So I know we got a comic book artist that you guys are absolutely going to love, very famous creator. And then, yeah, that's really it. Have a great day, guys, and have a drink on the galaxy.